All right, are you ready to dive deep into the HTFL? We're talking more than just goals and saves here. We're talking a league where fun meets some serious competition, with a twist you won't find anywhere else.
That's right, and today we're going right to the heart of what makes this league so unique. The goalie swap.
The goalie swap. Okay, you're going to have to explain that one. Sounds a little chaotic, to be honest.
Yeah, it might sound crazy, but it's actually like a brilliant way to level the playing field, and it really tests the goalies how adaptable they are. Imagine switching teams mid-game. How would you handle that pressure?
Honestly, I think I'd freeze up.
Yeah.
But before we get into all the details of this goalie swap thing, let's set the scene. We're looking at 2 games from Season 2, Week 5. Team Green versus Team Yellow, and Red Team versus Blue Team.
And these games had it all. Highlight reel goals, some crazy goaltending duels, even a few bumps and bruises along the way.
Let's start with Green versus Yellow. Now, this game was a battle of the goalies from the very beginning.
Absolutely. Scott McNitt for Green and Andy Anderson for Yellow. They faced a ridiculous amount of shots. But it was Yellow's Dave Byther who scored first, pretty early in the game.
So Byther's goal, it really set the tone for a high-scoring game. But the real story here, Chris Fowler, this guy, he was unstoppable, scoring not 1, not 2, but 3 goals for Yellow.
Wow.
A hat trick.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's so fascinating here is how Fowler, managed to be so effective. He wasn't just lucky. No, he was weaving through Green's defense, using his speed, his stick handling skills to create opportunities.
So is Green's defense just having a bad night, or was there something more to it? Could the goalie swap have played a role in Fowler's, success?
It's a great question. I think we'll have to look into that and see if, maybe the goalie swap had any impact on the way teams play defense.
Yep.
And speaking of intense plays, Dave Bryan, he laid a massive open ice check on Fowler. You could, feel the intensity through the screen.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't too familiar with hockey, an open ice check is when a player delivers a hit on an opponent who has the puck and isn't near the boards. It can be a pretty jarring experience for the player getting hit.
Definitely not for the faint of heart. But back to the action. Justin Clark almost scored for Green, but McNitt made this unbelievable diving save.
Hold on. Break that down for me. What makes a diving save so hard?
Well, imagine you have to react, instantly lunge across the net to get your body in front of this speeding puck. Requires some crazy reflexes, flexibility, and anticipation.
That sounds almost superhuman. So, despite those close calls, Yellow ultimately won the game 5-2.
Right, and remember, McNitt faced a crazy 40 shots, saving 35 of them, while Anderson saved 26 out of 28. That just shows you the offensive power of both teams.
All right, let's move on to our second game. Red versus Blue. Now, this one is a real nail-biter.
Absolutely. It was back and forth the whole game. Red's Kevin Bardown scored really quickly. But Blue's Rob Barry, with an assist from Lisa Neath, he answered right back, tied it up early. You just knew this was going to be a good one.
And then it was like a seesaw. Red's Anthony Finicaro, he took the lead again. But before the first period was even over, Blue's Mitchell Manning tied it up. This Manning guy seems like a real force to be reckoned with.
Oh, he is. Remember that name because he ended up scoring 4 goals for Blue Team.
4 goals. Wow. Was he just having an incredible night, or was there something about Red's defense, or maybe the goalie swap that he was able to exploit?
That's what we need to figure out. Was Manning's success just him being amazing, or were there some tactical things going on?
We've got some serious detective work to do.
We do. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's touch on some other key moments from this Red-Blue matchup. Brian Manuel scored for Blue, but he also accidentally took out Kyle Stevens from Red, like a collision.
Ouch. Hopefully Stevens is okay. That's the thing about hockey. It can get pretty physical out there.
It definitely can. And let's not forget Lisa Neath. She picked up her second point of the game with an assist from Greg Henry. She's definitely a player to watch.
So Blue ended up winning the game. Pretty convincing score of 9-5. But what about the goalies? How did they do with all this scoring?
That's where things get really interesting. Scott McNitt, remember, he started the night with Green. He swapped over to Red and ended up facing 35 shots, saving 30 of them.
So even with a new team and a different defensive style, McNitt still managed to put up some really impressive numbers.
Exactly. But on the other side, Evan Neath, playing for Blue, only managed to save 9 out of the 35 shots he faced. Now that raises a big question. Was Neath just having a bad night, or did that goalie swap play a role in his performance?
That's what I'm most curious about. How does this goalie swap actually affect the game? Do players change their strategies? Do they struggle to adjust to a new team?
Let's dive into that. We're going to analyze the impact of this goalie swap, hear from the players themselves, and try to answer your questions. Because the HTFL, it's more than just a game. It's like a social experiment in adaptability and the love of the game.
All right, I'm hooked. Let's break it down. Okay, so we've seen the goalie swap. We saw some incredible goals and some not so great goaltending. But what's the reasoning? Why this crazy rule?
That's where you really see the HTFL's commitment to fairness and fun. You see the goalie swap. It's not just to mix things up. It makes sure that no team has an advantage for the whole game.
Yeah.
And it really tests those goalies, how adaptable they can be. You don't see that in a normal hockey league.
It's like a real-time experiment in how goalies adjust to the different teams.
Exactly. It's not just being good, by yourself. It's about understanding the other team's defense, building trust with the defenseman you don't know, and reading the play, in a different way.
That sounds really tough. Do we know how the players experience the goalie swap? What do they think about it?
Yeah, we do. We actually reached out to a few players, got their thoughts on this rule. One player told us, and this is a quote, "At first, I thought the goalie swap was a joke, but honestly, it's one of the best parts of this whole league. Makes you think on your feet. Got to adapt to all these different play styles."
So it's not just the goalies, it's the whole team.
The whole team. Another player told us, having a new goalie, halfway through, it can be a little weird, but it also makes the game so much more unpredictable, exciting. It really keeps you on your toes.
And what about the goalies? How do they get ready for that change, in the middle of the game?
Well, one of the goalies, he said, you got to, let go of whatever happened, good or bad, and just start fresh. Second half's like a new game.
So it's not just a rule, it's like a way of thinking. It's embrace the unexpected, be ready for anything, have fun.
Exactly. That's what makes the HTFL so special. It's a bunch of people, they love hockey, they're passionate about it, but they also know, it's about being friends. It's about pushing your limits.
And speaking of pushing limits, those saves, they were incredible. McNitt's diving save against Clark in that first game, it was beautiful. His athleticism, the reflexes, pure instinct, like a movie.
For sure. And remember, he made that save playing for green before the goalie swap even happened.
Wow, talk about being in the zone. Anderson was good too, facing all those attacks from yellow.
He did great. And don't forget, both those goalies, they knew they were switching teams later.
Right. That's got to be a lot of pressure. Are they trying to impress their future team? Or are they just focused on what's happening right now?
Probably a bit of both. But
yeah.
One thing's for sure. The goalie swap, it does something to your mind, that you don't get in other leagues.
It's like we're watching a social experiment, but on the ice.
Yeah, exactly. Don't forget to check out the HTFL YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The website is thehtfl.net.
All the action.
And of course, huge thanks to our sponsors. Silly Boys Hockey Club. Their website is www.sillyboys.com.
The best.
Superpuck at www.superpuck.net.
I love those guys.
Advanced Career Institute. Go to www.advanced.edu for more information.
Awesome.
And Fowler Productions Video Services. Their YouTube channel is www.youtube.com/HTFL Hockey.
This has been Riley Bardown
and Ollie Postanin. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice and your head in the game.